All right, so let's dive right in. Today we're looking at something pretty important for our community here, the upcoming election for the Glenbrook High School District 225 Board of Education. That's on April 1st. And, it's interesting because it's happening at a time when the district has seen quite a bit of success.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look back over the past 5 years, District 225 has really racked up some achievements.
They have.
Like in 2023, they earned that National Blue Ribbon School recognition, as an exemplary, high-performing school. That's not easy to do. It shows they've been keeping those standards high.
For sure. And it's not just like a one-time thing either. They also got that Certificate of Special Congressional Recognition back in October for their community service work. So it seems like they're not just focused on academics, but really plugged into the whole community.
Exactly. And when you look at some of the hard numbers, like back in 2021, their graduation rate hit 96%, and then 98% of those grads went on to college. I mean, those are really strong indicators that the district is doing something right, providing good support and opportunities for these students.
Yeah, absolutely. And, then you've got those 14 National Merit semifinalists and 176 Illinois State Scholars from that same year. It's clear there's a lot of academic talent being nurtured there.
For sure.
And it's not just us locally who are noticing this. Niche.com, they consistently rank District 225 as a top district, both nationally and here in Illinois. Not just one of the best overall, but they also highlight the quality of the teachers. So it seems like there's a pretty solid foundation of success in place as we head into this election.
Definitely. And that brings us to the election itself. 7 candidates are running for the District 225 Board of Education. But what's really interesting here is that 4 of them have gotten this really unique level of endorsement that we should probably dig into a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So out of those 7 candidates, Jack Downing, Peter Glowacki, Beth Hope, and Mac O'Hara, they've been slated by the District 225 Caucus. And for folks who might not be familiar with the caucus and what they do, this is a pretty key part of the story.
Right. The District 225 Caucus, their whole mission is to act as this organized, independent, nonpartisan group that's focused on finding and supporting the people they think are most qualified to be on the school board. They're working for the benefit of everyone living in Northfield Township.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The members of this caucus aren't just random community members. They're all current school board presidents or members from each of the 5 elementary districts that feed into District 225.
Yeah, think about that for a second. These are people who have direct experience with running a school district at the elementary level. They've dealt with budgets, policies, the day-to-day challenges of keeping a school system going. They know firsthand what it takes to effectively lead a school.
Exactly. So when this caucus comes out and says, these are the candidates we think are best for the high school board, they're saying it from a place of really deep, practical knowledge. They've seen what works and maybe what doesn't in terms of getting kids ready for Glenbrook North and Glenbrook South.
Yeah, it's a unique perspective they bring to evaluating potential high school board members. They're not just reading resumes or listening to campaign speeches. They're thinking about the whole educational journey leading up to high school. They've seen what prepares kids for that.
Definitely. And like I said, these same 4 candidates, Downing, Glowacki, Hope, and O'Hara, they've also got the distinction of being the only candidates endorsed by the teachers and staff at the high schools, and that includes endorsements from both the Glenbrook Education Association, the GEA, and the Glenbrook Educational Support Staff Association, or GESSA.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. You've got these 2 groups, the people who are governing the feeder schools and the people actually teaching and working in the high schools every day, and they're all pointing to the same individuals. It's like there's a strong sense of agreement within the educational community about who they think will be the most effective leaders.
It really makes you think, right? Because it's not just one group saying, hey, these are our preferred candidates. It's a convergence of viewpoints from different parts of the educational system, all kind of pointing in the same direction. The feeder school board members, they've got this long-term perspective on student preparation, while the high school teachers and staff, they're seeing the immediate needs and challenges within those schools. And the fact that they agree on these 4, it suggests there's real potential for strong collaborative leadership there.
For sure.
Now, before we get into more detail about each of these candidates, let's take a quick look at their backgrounds, shall we?
Sounds good.
All right, so Jack Downing, he's been a Glenview resident since 2007. He's got an MBA from Kellogg, founded a global executive search firm called World Bridge Partners, and he's actually a Glenbrook South Distinguished Alumnus from 2005. But it doesn't stop there. He founded the Incubator EDU program at GBS, coaches football and wrestling there, and has 5 kids who have gone through District 225. Oh, and I almost forgot, he's also served on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Metropolitan Chicago. Quite the resume, right?
Yeah, very involved.
He is. Now let's move on to Peter Glowacki. He's been living in Glenview for over 20 years, and he's already got experience on the D225 board. He was first elected in 2017 and then re-elected in 2021, and he's been the vice president of the board since 2019. He's got a JD and an LLM in law and currently works as a director of attorney development. Before that, he served on the District 31 Foundation board. It's worth noting that he actually ran as a write-in candidate in his first election, which is pretty impressive. And his focus has been on things like strategic planning and student mental health. Right. All right, next up we have Beth Hope. She's lived in Northbrook for 14 years now. She's a licensed clinical social worker and holds a senior director position at Caucus Health Center. She's got this background in clinical leadership, communication, marketing, and outreach, and has even partnered professionally with the Glenbrook schools in the past. On top of that, she serves on the Maple School Parent-Teacher Advisory Committee and a bunch of other advisory roles. Her main priorities, at least from what she said, are education, mental health, safety, and community engagement.
Makes sense with her background.
It does. And lastly, we have Matt O'Hara, lifelong Glenview resident, 46 years and counting. He's a retired attorney with a JD and was first elected to the D225 board back in 2021. He used to coach youth hockey, too. Some of the things he's been vocal about are classroom improvements like lighting and furniture, getting cell phones out of classrooms, setting up a health center at GBS, and that solar power project. He says he's running again because he wants to keep that progress going, especially when it comes to making sure the curriculum is equal across the schools.
Yeah, it's interesting to see those different backgrounds and experiences all coming together on this board.
It is. And, when you consider that these 4 candidates, all with their diverse backgrounds, have this unique backing from both the experienced District 225 caucus, with their deep knowledge of the feeder schools and the teachers and staff who are working with the high schoolers every day, it really makes you think about what that means for the future of District 225.
Right. It suggests there's this shared vision, or at least a shared understanding of what the district needs and how to move forward. And that kind of alignment, it's not something you see every day in an election.
Absolutely. So as we wrap things up here, I think it's important to remember that early voting for this election kicks off on March 17th at both the Glenview and Northbrook Village Halls. Then, of course, Election Day itself is April 1st, so make sure your voter registration is all squared away and know where your polling place is. And if you'd rather vote by mail, you can definitely do that too.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, the fact that these 4 candidates have managed to secure endorsements from both the feeder district leadership with all their experience and the dedicated educators working within the high schools themselves, well, that really speaks volumes about their potential to lead District 225 effectively.
It does. It shows that people who are deeply invested in the success of these schools, both leading into them and within them, they see something special in these 4 candidates.
Yeah, and it really makes you think, as a voter, what does it mean to have that kind of combined support? What kind of future does it suggest for the district? And that's something I think everyone needs to consider as they make their decision.
For sure. All right, well, that about wraps it up for our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.